Hi, I'm Dini. I'm a technician here at BKLYN CLAY, and I'm going to show you how to clean today, which probably seems a little excessive, but it's important that we go over it and that we all clean the same way because it's a community studio, and so our actions really affect everyone around us and the students who are taking classes here. Also, as members, we want to sort of be examples for the students who are just learning and just getting involved with ceramics. So the pressure is kind of on us as members to really clean up after ourselves and also demonstrate that to other people. So I made a cup, and if you've made a cup, congratulations, good job. You're an even cooler person than you already were. Now you have to clean up after yourself, which is not the fun part, but it is really important. I'm just going to keep saying that. So the first thing I'm going to do is, if possible, I'm going to transfer my work onto a wear board. If it's not dry enough yet, you can just leave it on the bat. But then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean everything on my wheel. So it's really important that we clean every tool that we use. All of the wheel, the bat pan, which is this plastic piece that goes around the wheel. All of your tools, your bucket, and we want to put everything away. So basically, when I'm done, I want this wheel to look like this wheel, which is clean. So I'm going to walk you through that. So I'm going to take everything off, and I'm going to bring it over to the sink. And I'm going to take my tools. Any excess clay that I have that's just really wet, I'm going to go over and take and put it into the reclaim bucket, and I'm going to make sure that I put it into the right reclaim bucket. So I'm going to put this into the red clay, and I'm going to put away all my tools as well. So we'll go over to the sink. Okay, so now you just want to go ahead and rinse everything in the sink. I'm going to clean all of my tools completely. The sponge helps get clay off quickly, so don't just stand there spraying. Use a sponge or a cloth, it's faster. So any kind of scraps of clay that I have from my bat pan here, I want to collect those, and I want to put them into the reclaim instead of just leaving them in the sink. It's really not good to leave a bunch of clay scraps in the strainer. So you want to actually remove those and put them into the reclaim and make sure that they're going into the right reclaim bucket again. That's always really important. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to rinse all of this stuff, rinse my bat pan. It's a little bit, you still need to keep going. Okay, that is a clean bat pan. So just make sure you're really cleaning it all the way. You're not leaving anything in the sink. You don't want to leave anything on the bat pan or on any of the tools. You want to clean all of your bats. Any bats that I used, I want to go ahead and rinse in the sink as well. So it's really important that we clean all of these things because this is a community studio, and if you leave anything, it will only be cleaned up by another member, and they won't be happy about it. It's much better to clean at the end of your work day than it is to clean before you start working. If I found this in the cabinet, I would have to clean it before I used it, and that would be annoying. So I wouldn't want to do that to anybody else, and I don't want it to happen to me. So I'm going to clean them really well before I put them back, and I'm going to put them back into the right place, right here in this labeled bats cabinet. It's really important that I take a second look around. I've now cleaned my bat pans. They're beautiful. They're ready to go back onto my wheel. But I want to take another look around the sink and make sure I didn't leave anything here. Sometimes things blend in. For example, this rib, you can't even see it on the sink. But because I took a second look around, I just happened to notice that I left it there. Oh, look at that, a needle tool. Oh my God, more tools. These all go into the tools cabinet. So we really don't want to leave anything here, nothing. in the labeled cabinet. Don't leave your sponges in the sink. That's also a tool, so it should be put back in the cabinet. There's even a special drawer for them as well. Oh, look at that. The very last step is just double checking the sink drain to make sure that I got all of my clay scraps out. Now, I had red clay and the person who used the sink before me used white clay, so now I can't put this into the reclaim. I'm going to have to put it into the trash. So any clay that's been mixed like this, we really need to throw away instead of contaminating our reclaim bucket. So trash is right here. Convenient. Very well organized studio, so it makes it easier. Okay. Another thing I don't want to do is I don't want to leave a rag here. We find a lot of rags in the sink, and that's unnecessary. You really should just put it away as well as your tools. So we don't need any extra rags hanging on the sink. Everyone can grab their own. And sometimes I'll even wipe the sink around where I clean my tools just to make it pretty. Okay, so we have a laundry basket down at the end for these. So don't leave them here. Leave them in the laundry basket. There's a special place for them. Before I put the bat pan back on here, I want to go ahead and clean my wheel really well. The fastest way to do this is just to hold your sponge while the wheel is running. Watch your fingers for the bat pins. To clean the side, I just hold my sponge on the side while it's spinning. Flip it over, do it again. And then I'm going to go all the way around, and underneath the wheel head, I'm going to stick my sponge under there. I'm going to clean the whole table. I'm going to clean the sides of the wheel. I'm going to make sure and do that all the way around. I want to clean the box that has the on and off switch for the wheel. If you do have clay scraps or water that flew off of the wheel, we would really appreciate it that you come back and actually clean the floor around your workspace. So make sure you have a really wet sponge when you do this. And I'm just going to clean all the way around. It's super important that we keep the floor free from dust because any inhalation of dust over time can cause silicosis, and it's really important that we keep this studio as free of dust as possible. It's really bad for your lungs. Okay, now that I have my bat pans clean and dry, I can put them back onto the wheel head. And it is good to put them back and not just leave them stacked. It's just nicer, it looks better, and it's also just one less step for the next person to do. So I do put them back onto the wheel head like this. And just before you leave, make a double check of your space and make sure that you didn't leave anything behind. Any tools on the ground, water bottles, anything that you brought with you to the wheel, make sure you have it. And that's it. If you use a mold, go ahead and put it back away underneath the table where you found it. There's a shelf right underneath here available for all of the molds. And if you use a turning wheel, go ahead and give that a clean. Wipe it down and then put it underneath the table on the shelf for turning wheels. Please don't leave plastic underneath the table. We have two areas for plastic. One, the trash for plastic like this. The other is the recycling for clean plastic like this. Those are located over behind the sink in the cabinets on the cabinet labeled plastic and newspaper. Leaving plastic hanging off of the shelf is not cool. Go ahead and tuck it in. So when you put your wearboard away, tuck in the plastic. Make sure that your work is not hanging off of the shelf because someone could walk into it and ruin your beautiful piece. Once your work is bone dry, you can go ahead and take your wearboard and return it to the wearboard cabinet. You don't need to leave bone-dry pieces sitting on the shelf on a wear board. You can just return it, and then we have more available for the rest of the students. Okay, so your wear boards, you don't need to leave them here. You should actually take them with you and return them to the wear boards cabinet when you're done. So don't leave any wear boards or work here. You don't need to leave your work on wear boards, on the bisque cart or the cart to be glazed. So if you're leaving your work, don't leave it on a board. Go ahead and take it off of the board whenever possible and put it onto the shelf without a wear board. Another thing that you can do to help the studio is to pick up your glaze work once it's been fired. We go ahead and put a dated stamp on each piece saying which date that they've come out of the kiln, and then we save them here for 2 months. But please don't wait 2 months to pick up your work. Please pick it up as soon as it's done. That way we have enough space. As you can see here, we are very short on space for returning glaze work. So please pick it up as soon as it's done and take it home. That would be amazing. We would be so happy. If you were glazing and you got glaze on the top of the bucket, it's important that you go back and you clean it. This is really important because glaze actually has some toxic chemicals in it, and you really want to make sure that those don't turn into dust and become airborne particles. So the more that we can clean the glaze drips, the better the studio environment is.